What did he do when you got to Salinas?
When we got to Salinas, my Uncle Harry already had a job for him as a foreman out there on Blanca Road. I showed you where we lived.
He raised seed for Fred.
And it had a little real shacky house on it. And we hadn't shipped too much, just a few things. A stove, and it went to Paso Robles because that's where we were headed. But when we got to Salinas, Uncle Harry was so insistent that we stay here. And it was when my dad was born. And there were a lot of people in town that he knew, even though he'd been gone for 25 years. And so he farmed there for quite a few years, and then for around this ranch, they plowed with mules, and he took care of the animals, and then we had Filipino laborers because they were raising lettuce and cauliflower and I forget, 3 or 4 crops they raised. And he worked for Mitchell Silliman, which was a well-known produce company in town at the time. And then about that time the Depression set in really bad, and I think we didn't really feel it that badly until about 1932. And Silliman let the contract go on the ranch, so that meant he was out of a job. And so then we moved up the lane there off of Central Avenue, and he worked for Dr. Murphy had a ranch up there. And so he worked for him for quite a while. But then his health started failing, and I guess Murphy was having trouble selling his produce, so he just let the ranch lay there. And we moved to Santa Rita for a few years, and he raised vegetables and chickens and stuff, and we sold them to the Chinese restaurants downtown. And then also there was a guy named Al Wallace, and he had a cattle. He raised beef cattle to, and they used to have what they called dropped calves, and the mothers wouldn't claim them or feed them. So we had a couple of cows, so he would bring them over to Dad, and Dad would raise them for him. And then he'd come over and buy them back from my dad when they got up. And we made money that way, and then we made money off of the chickens and the produce that we raised on that little area, and the Chinese paid pretty well for it. And we didn't have a whole lot. We muddled along and got by, and got all the kids through high school. Betty and Ada opted to quit when they were about sophomores. They would not settle down and study, and I was the only one that went on to college.